Hey and welcome. My name's Anthony Veltri, and today I have the privilege of discussing a topic with you that is as important and timely 300 years ago as it is today. And that is the topic of saving, making, and managing your money. We're going to go back to basics right here because this common sense about money is going to form the core values of what we go over and teach here at Undispensable. It's really important that we're on the same page, and a lot of times the simple things are the things that get overlooked. Now, we know that money's really important, and we're going to go over not only what we need to do to manage and make it, but also how we can save it and how we can make it work for us. A lot of really important reasons for this, and learning sound financial strategies are going to enable you to live the life you've always dreamed of. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's absolutely true. You want to make sure that your money works for you rather than the other way around. And unfortunately, in today's day and age, we are not taught this in school anymore. I don't think we've been taught this for several generations about how to really make money work for you versus you working for your money. And financial stress affects every area of your life. And I don't care how much money you make. If it's not managed correctly, and if you're working for it versus it working for you, you could make whatever the number is. But if you're not able to sustain that and you're working for it, then you're actually a slave to that money versus the money being your servant. It's actually your master. Carrying large amounts of debt and living from paycheck to paycheck and wondering if you can get all the bills paid this month brings a large amount of unnecessary stress into your life. And this is true, once again, regardless of your level of income, because if you're living above your means by a substantial amount, then this is going to apply to you no matter what. You're going to feel that unnecessary stress, whether it's $100, $1,000, $10,000, or $100,000. If it brings stress into your life, you're not working, the money's not working for you. And this can erode a lot of things in your life. It can have really negative consequences on your health, and compromising your immune system and making yourself vulnerable to disease is definitely not making money work for you. In addition, your relationships can really struggle if you are working for your money and it's bringing additional stress into your life. And finally, if you do not maintain hope and bring strategy into your life to bring the brighter future around that you and your family deserve, then it's going to create a lot of undue stress in your life that, number one, is preventable, and number two, when that stress is there, is not going to be serving you. So just for a second, just imagine, if you can try to imagine how your life would be different if you could do any of the following. If you can imagine for a second, try to imagine how your life would be different if you could easily pay your bills each month. If you could handle sudden repair bills without anxiety. If you could use cash to pay for your next car versus having to finance it. If you could plan vacations when you want, not be beholden to others to tell you when you're allowed to take vacation. And finally, imagine how different your life would be if you could successfully put money into a savings plan. Believe it or not, all this and more can be yours when you learn some simple financial management strategies. Consider these areas of your financial life. Let's talk about creating an effective budget for a second here. Now, rather than limiting you, a workable budget gives you freedom. It gives you the freedom to choose what you want to do with your money. It gives you the freedom to use cash instead of high-priced credit. And it gives you the freedom to take advantage of opportunities when they arise. Now, a lot of times we talk about creating a budget and we instantaneously get the reaction or the response that this is going to mean affecting our lifestyle negatively. Now, money-saving techniques can help you keep more of your money for yourself, and it can give you more spendable income. Now, the good news is that you can still spend money on what's important while you're saving in other areas. Now, I'm very into a budget, but I'm also very into making more money. Because at the end of the day, if you can only pinch so many pennies, if your income level stays the same, then you don't create additional opportunity for yourself and your family to get the lifestyle that you deserve. So let's talk for a second about saving money on a day-to-day basis. Now, when you discover ways to save every single day, they can add up to significant savings. You can see your savings grow right before your eyes. One tip that I like to do is I actually take a roll of half dollars. Roll of half dollars is $10, and I actually pay for coffee and other sundry expenses throughout the day in half dollars. And what it's done is it's actually cut my bill, my expenses, my daily expenses by 66% for those sort of impulse buys, simply because I'm only able to carry so many half dollars with me. And I realize that it may be impractical for some, but for me, that represents a savings of about $10 a day, which adds up over the course of a year. Short-term savings. Now, short-term savings can make it possible for you to pay for your next vacation with cash. You'll enjoy it all the more when you know you don't have to pay for it, including interest, over the next year or more. Now, if you don't like to travel, that's not a problem. Can you imagine having the cash on hand for a new state-of-the-art TV with a surround system? Or maybe you're looking to invest in a new chicken coop, or perhaps you want to make a new set of raised beds. Whatever it is that you're looking to do, short-term savings can really help you avoid having to go into debt to creditors in order to accomplish those goals. Now, long-term savings is another category of stuff that we want to talk about. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the stuff we're discussing here may seem basic, and that's the reason why we have to hammer it home. Because it is so simple, a lot of people end up ignoring it. Now, college and retirement funds grow rapidly with advanced planning, and you should take it upon yourself to learn the strategies that will have you looking forward to enjoying an awesome, fun-filled retirement. Now, this is sort of the traditional way to go about things, and talking about the power of savings and the power of compound interest. And believe me, I've done the math. Anybody can see the power of compound interest. But I think that there's also something to be said about valuing yourself and being able to generate additional income today so that you don't have to wait until retirement, or that maybe college isn't the thing for you. Maybe your children want to take up a trade. Having the available savings and the available ability to help facilitate that, I think, is something that's really, really important. Finally, if you do choose to have credit cards, make sure you use them wisely. Now, responsible credit card use can bring you many, many advantages. And some of these include a higher credit score, available credit when you need it, and the lowest cost mortgages and other loans. Now, personally, if you know how the banking system brings money into existence, then having a high credit score doesn't really speak well for many of the things that you might hold dear in terms of freedom and liberty. However, if we're going to work within the system as it exists presently, then I think it's really important to understand that a lot of these things are in fact valuable working within the system as it exists presently. So, getting out of debt. It is possible to get out of debt. I did it once when I was younger. I did it again very recently, and I will never have to do it again because I've set myself up to never have to go into debt again. And it's true that it takes determination and a workable plan. It does take a strategy. It really does. As I've mentioned earlier, we are not conditioned from a very young age to put these strategies into effect to make it such that we're able to make our money work for us. It's simply something that's not taught anymore. And you may stumble upon it simply by, getting out of school and having enough money to pay for your debt. But if it's not done thoughtfully and mindfully, then you'll get into debt again. And that's kind of what I want to talk about here, is in terms of making sure that it is a mindful process that you go through, because if it's not, you may encounter the same challenge again a little further on down the road. So what you need to do is find plans that snowball your efforts so that you can get out of debt using no more than the monthly outlay than what you're paying right now. So this is my favorite area right now. A lot of people tend to focus on budgeting and savings and paying off debt, which I think is really important. I think that the snowball method of paying off debt and just building on it like that, seeing those payments go away, is very, very important. But I think another side that a lot of people don't pay as much attention to as they should are the ways to bring in extra cash. And that's what Indispensable is all about. That's what this entire website is all about, is about not only helping you get out of debt, but also showing you that there is valuable information that you have that other people are willing to pay for. And it's almost your duty to help them solve their problems that they're willing to pay you for. And what my expertise is in is showing you how to package your experience in such a way that it's easily consumable by people who are willing and eager to pay for the advice and the help that you can provide them. Now, there are a lot of different ways to bring in extra cash, and knowing how to bring in some extra money whenever you need it can be a real lifesaver. And after all, we all need some extra funds from time to time. Now, my specific area of expertise, as I said before, is not so much just being able to bring it in whenever you need it, but trying to do it in a systematic way that is not only repeatable, but is also scalable. Even if you start with $50 extra a week, if it's repeatable and scalable, then that can very rapidly grow. What I encourage you to do is seek techniques, both online and offline, that you can depend on to boost your income. And as I've said before, this is not stuff that is taught in K through 12. This is not stuff that is taught in college. This is stuff that is not even taught in many business schools. So this is something that I really want to share with you because I think it's really important, not only as we progress forward as individuals, but as we progress forward contributing to the various communities that we belong to. Because the more resilient we are individually, the more we can contribute to our community in a time of need. And of course, the more resilient our community is, the better off for everyone. So, as I mentioned before, the way the system works right now, the credit score is kind of a fact of life if you're planning on making really large purchases such as a house or potentially a vehicle. So while many of you, and myself included, don't particularly care for the modern banking system, it is important to understand how it works to make sure that you can maximize your knowledge of the system, to make sure that you can maximize the benefit that you can derive from it. So checking your credit report regularly is a really important part of that. And it's to your advantage to keep track of what's in your credit report and get any errors corrected. And I would suggest that you do that now before you need a loan or a new car. The time to get your stuff in order is when things are quiet, not when things are getting exciting. The same thing with any kind of training. The time to do the training is not when you actually need to be doing it for real. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a situation, you could potentially find yourself in a situation where loans are getting denied, and that could be due to someone else's bankruptcies or foreclosures on your credit report, or even an error that is even more minor than actually having someone else's bankruptcy on your credit report. But you just want to make sure that things are in line so that when you go to do something, you have that there available and working for you. So, raising your credit score. Now, you should become knowledgeable about these strategies, and you'll find that it opens the door to many opportunities for you, including better deals on financing, qualifying for higher paying jobs. Believe it or not, when I worked for the military and when I worked for Department of Defense, they actually look at your credit score. They actually look at your outstanding obligations because they want to make sure that you're not at risk for divulging classified information because of your financial burdens. So, you know, just some stuff that you should definitely be aware of in terms of where that information goes and who has access to it, and how it can come back to potentially haunt you at some time in the future. Finally, even things as mundane as getting superior cell phone plans or cheaper insurance and much, much more like that. So finally, another thing that is really important is protecting your identity. Your identity, like it or not, in today's day and age, is inextricably tied to your financial success. Search out techniques that make it easy for you to keep your identity safe from criminals and scammers. And there are many services online that you can shop around and find the one that's going to give you the best deal on this. But I do suggest running this, and I do suggest some sort of recurring identity scan to make sure that nobody's going out there and buying a boat with your identity or other things like that. So in closing, following these sound financial strategies brings you a peace and contentment that you may have been missing for a really long time. We saw Ben Franklin at the beginning. These are some of the core principles that I believe that the men and women of his generation would bring to the table in terms of responsible management of finances. Be wise in the ways of savings, making and managing your money. Not only will your wallet thank you, but your family will thank you too. Now, if you want more information about this, if you want more information about basically how to make sure your finances are in order, but as I said before, my particular area of expertise and what we focus on the most at Undispensable is showing you how to take the knowledge and information that you already have, the things that you are already interested in and the things that you already do well, and show you how to package and productize that in such a way that you can be matched up with people who really need that information. Just because something is easy for you to do doesn't mean that it's easy for everybody to do. And that's something that we definitely are not encouraged. We're encouraged to be humble. We're encouraged to, not brag about what we're good at. But this is something that really resonated with me when I first was asked to help somebody with something along this sort of nature, along the nature of helping them get their message out. And they said, hey, I really could use some help with what you're doing. And I was like, I'm okay at it, I guess. I've made a couple bucks here and there. And I didn't want to help them because I didn't want to charge them. And they were actually really desperate for the help. And so they said to me, you may think that by not charging me and by not helping me, that you're being humble, but you have something that I need, and I need it very badly. I need the expertise that you have in this particular area. So what you think is being humble and humility, to me, is actually arrogance, because you have something that I need, and you're not allowing me to pay you for that service. And when it was presented to me like that, it really struck a chord. It really said, hey, you know what? Not only do I need to learn to monetize this, but I need to help other people and show them how they can monetize their experience as well. So I hope that this presentation has served you. If you are looking for any more information on any of the topics we covered here, please visit us at undispensable.com. This has been Anthony Veltri, and I hope that this message has served you.